So I'm reading from Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 21. At that time I commanded Joshua, "You have seen with your own eyes all that the Lord your God has done to these two kings. The Lord will do the same to all the kingdoms over there where you are going. Do not be afraid of them. The Lord your God himself will fight for you." At that time I pleaded with the Lord, "O sovereign Lord, you have begun to show to your servant your greatness and your strong hand. For what God is there in heaven or on earth who can do the deeds and mighty works you do? Let me go over and see the good land before the Jordan, that fine hill country and Lebanon." But because of you the Lord was angry with me and would not listen to me. "That is enough," the Lord said. "Do not speak to me any more about this matter. Go up to the top of Pisgah and look west and north and south and east. Look at the land with your own eyes, since you are not going to cross this Jordan. But commission Joshua and encourage and strengthen him, for he will lead this people across and will cause them to inherit the land that you will see." So we stayed in the valley near Beth Peor. A really significant, if short, account today that makes the overall point that God doesn't change. The reading begins with Moses, once again, talking to Joshua. Remember, back in Numbers chapter 27, it goes like this. "So the Lord said to Moses, take Joshua son of Nun, a man in whom is the spirit of leadership, and lay your hand on him. Have him stand before Eleazar the priest and the entire assembly, and commission him in their presence. Give him some of your authority, so the whole Israelite community will obey him. He is to stand before Eleazar the priest, who will obtain decisions for him by inquiring of the Urim before the Lord. At his command he and the entire community of the Israelites will go out, and at his command they will come in." Moses did as the Lord commanded him. He took Joshua and had him stand before Eleazar the priest and the whole assembly. Then he laid his hands on him and commissioned him, as the Lord instructed through Moses. So Joshua had been delegated as Moses' successor because Moses had sinned back at Meribah, Numbers 20. But the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Because you did not trust in me enough to honour me as holy in the sight of the Israelites, you will not bring this community into the land I give them." These were the waters of Meribah, where the Israelites quarrelled with the Lord and where he was proved holy among them. Now Moses basically tells Joshua to take encouragement from what he had seen with his own eyes, verse 21. What God has done twice already, he can do again. Now Joshua knew the difficult time Moses had had with the Israelites, how awkward and rebellious they could be. And let's be honest, it's credit to Moses, because it can't have been easy to encourage the one who's going to replace you. But isn't it great to know that God will pursue and achieve his purposes regardless of our sin and disobedience? Listen to this from Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. "I, the Lord, do not change, so you, the descendants of Jacob, are not destroyed." You know, sometimes we can wonder what the future holds. It can be easy to get discouraged when good leaders move on or retire. But a message to us to encourage younger leaders, to assure them that God will achieve his purposes. What he has done in the past, he will do in the future, for God doesn't change. And then we see, from verse 23, we see the second way God doesn't change. We read of Moses' sorrow. The people of Israel are on the verge of great things, about to enter the promised land, and Moses longs to see it. He longs to see God's greatness. So he pleads with God. But God doesn't change his mind. There are consequences to disobedience and dishonouring God. But what God has said he is going to do, God will do it. And we have to learn to submit to his will. And that's true for us. As we think of what we've heard in 1 and 2 Kings, in Hosea, in Amos, in Hebrews, what God has promised to do, he will do it. Now, as much as we may side with Moses and not like God's punishment, it should also bring us a sense of peace and closure. Once we accept something as God's will, as what he wants, we can pursue it, even if at times it brings an end to our own personal hopes and dreams. But an important subpoint for Moses, that despite being under judgment, being punished for his sins, Moses doesn't lose his salvation. Listen to the words of Paul in 1 Corinthians 3. If it is burned up, the builder will suffer loss, yet will be saved. And remember what happened at the Transfiguration in Luke 9. 2 men, Moses and Elijah, appeared in glorious splendour, talking with Jesus. They spoke about his departure, which he was about to bring to fulfilment at Jerusalem. Moses alongside Jesus. Maybe he didn't fulfill his ambitions, what he wanted. He was punished for his sin. But he's still there in heaven, alongside the Lord Jesus. So even though God is angry with Moses for his sin, for his pestering, verse 26, remember Hebrews 11, that Moses is commended for his faith. We read Moses is permitted to view the land. He could see for himself that he had fulfilled his task. He had brought them back to the land, to the promised land. And now it's time to hand over to a younger man. Verse 28. So God doesn't change. Remember what God has done in the past, he will do in the future. Remember, God is consistent. What he has said in his word, he will do. And he will do it, even if it's something we may not like.